Good morning, sports fans. My name is Matthew Gorby, host of Matt Gorby's Sports Analysis. It's been a few days since we had our last show, and folks, a lot has happened since then in the sports world. Of course, the NBA season just got done finishing up. Same with the NHL season. The MLB season is starting to get into full swing a little bit as we head towards July. The NFL offseason is ramping up. We got the World Cup round of 32 coming up. So much to talk about. I want to first start, though, by talking about the biggest thing that has happened since we last had a show, and that is one-time champion, I don't even know how many time All-Star, and freakish anomaly, Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece, who has been in the NBA since 2013. A champ with the Bucks. He's just had a plethora of awards. A top 3 player in the NBA really since 2019. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded from the Milwaukee Bucks to the Miami Heat and an absolute blockbuster that sent him and his teammate Bobby Portis to Miami in exchange for a lot. For one, they get Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kelly Ware, Kaspers Yakuonis. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. A 2026 number 13 overall draft pick. They get 2 future first-round picks that are 2031 and 2033. They have 1 first-round pick swap, which is for 2030. And they have 1 future second-round pick in 2033. So just one of the biggest trades we've seen in NBA history. A trade that it was between Miami and Boston. I'm assuming, I don't know for sure if Boston had a deal on the table, but those were one of 2 destinations Giannis preferred. The Boston trade would have most certainly dealt Jaylen Brown to Milwaukee, which that's the trade I would want for. Hey, they probably weren't going to get as many picks and whatnot just by doing that. But, I mean, what an unbelievable trade. Giannis to Miami. I remember in 2021, right before Giannis won his first ever championship, or maybe it was the year before, I guess, after the bubble season, I remember there was tons of trade talk surrounding Giannis saying that he could be traded. Instead, he signs a 5-year extension with the Bucks and he wins a ring the very next season, his first ever ring. That's just sometimes how it works out. Sometimes you just got to stick with your boys. But now Giannis, who's, 32 years old, he's still in his prime. He's still one of the best players in the NBA. He's still a top 3 player in the league, arguably. Definitely top 5. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for Milwaukee to move on from him, especially with how they struggled last season. Of course, Damian Lillard missed the whole season with a torn Achilles, but, well, of course, I shouldn't even say that because I guess he went back to Portland. So I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But, because, he was with the Blazers the whole year, right? So, yeah, I don't know what I was saying with the whole Damian Lillard thing. But, the Bucks had their struggles, and they knew Giannis had 1 more year left on his contract. They said, hey, let's get something out of him because he's probably not going to re-sign with us next year. So they decided to trade him, which I think was the right move. Do I think they could have gotten maybe some better things out of it? Maybe. But that's a pretty hefty haul. Tyler Hero is a guy that's been an all-star, I think. Jaquez is a great player. Ware is a great young center. And they got a ton of picks from it as well. Also, Yakuonis is a young point guard. So I like it for Miami. And I like it for, I like it for Milwaukee. But I also like it for Miami, too. Because, it puts you, it gets your star on the team. However, I saw a post that was the 2025 or the 2026 Bucks are the same exact team as this Heat team coming up. And it was like, obviously Giannis is the star. Actually, let me compare these rosters really quick. Because these two teams are very similar, and I could see the Heat doing the same as the Bucks just did this past season. Well, let me see really quick. I want to compare these two teams. Let's see. So yeah, Giannis and Bam down low. That could be elite. They can switch everything. They could they could protect the rim at an elite level. Obviously Giannis, we would know what he's capable of when he drives inside. But Bam's kind of more of an all-around scorer. He could shoot the three. He likes to shoot the midi. He likes to obviously get inside. It's going to be a fun duo to watch down low for sure. But you kind of see, like, through last year with Kyle Kuzma and Miles Turner, the Bucks tried to kind of retool their team with them, and kind of, but it kind of led to the lack of kind of a dynamic perimeter creation, which, letting Lillard go kind of did that. Obviously, he wouldn't have played this year anyway with his torn Achilles, but there's that. You look at the new look Heat, to get Giannis, you had to just gut your entire depth, really. Obviously losing Hero and Yakas and Ware. It means that their bench is going to have a massive question marks. Who is going to come off the bench for this Heat team? Obviously, if your starting lineup's solid, that's all well and good, but you can't make a deep playoff run. Maybe you can't even make the playoffs without a deep bench. That's just how it goes. It's how it goes in sports. It's how it goes in basketball, and it's certainly how it goes in the NBA. Comparing these two teams, you have the 2026 Bucks now. They're deep and they're young, kind of like how the Heat were last year. They were deep and young. They didn't necessarily have, the huge star name, but they had a lot of, young players, and their team was pretty good. But when you just traded away four guys that have, or have an important future with this Heat team, and you trade them for Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're in win now mode. This is win now for Miami. If you don't win this year, or, especially if Giannis doesn't extend, if he doesn't sign an extension, which I think he will since he's in Miami, you put yourself in a major hole for the next 5 to 6 years if you're Miami. But that's the risk you got to take if you want to win an NBA championship. Now it's going to be tough. If Milwaukee, couldn't even make the playoffs last season, how is this Miami team going to win an NBA championship? I definitely think there's more that they have to do this offseason, but who knows if they even can? This Giannis trade might have just completely, made them stop doing anything this offseason. So we'll see what happens. I'd like them, maybe see them get some more shooters. You just lost Tyler Hero. That's a shooter you got to replace. It's a playmaker you got to replace, as he's a great young player. By the way, Tyler Hero back to Wisconsin. Love to see it. I remember that video of him in high school, and he was playing against some team on the road. They were booing him because he didn't go to Wisconsin. He was committed to Kentucky, which was honestly the right choice. If you have a chance to go to Kentucky and start at Kentucky, go to Kentucky. Don't go to Wisconsin. I know Wisconsin's a great basketball school, but go to Kentucky, especially Coach K was there at the time. Go to Kentucky. He made the right move. But yeah, that's the Giannis trade. That's not it, though. We have another huge trade that happened, which featured LaMelo Ball. Shout out LaMelo Ball, by the way. Ball Brothers on top. I remember, watching the Ball Brothers back when I was in 5th grade on YouTube. To think that LaMelo would be a star. Now he's going to get a chance to shine in Minnesota. The most competitive basketball game he's ever played. Well, I shouldn't say that. The most important basketball game he's ever played in the NBA was his last game he just played, which was a play-in game. He's never even been in the playoffs, which isn't surprising, knowing the teams that he, the Hornets team that he played for the last 5 years. I think it's great for Minnesota. I think it's even better for Charlotte. Maybe I want to look up this full trade. Timberwolves had to give up Naz Reid. Of course they did. That sucks. I wanted them to keep Naz Reid, even though I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but I, for some reason, just want to see Naz Reid on the Timberwolves. I would love to see them on the Cavs, but, that's not going to happen. If there was ever a day where we traded Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen for somebody, I would want us to try to get Naz Reid somehow. Even though he's a great player and he should be getting paid a lot. I want to look up full LaMelo Ball trade to see the full context of this trade. So it was only 2 teams in it. It was the Hornets and Timberwolves. It wasn't no 3 or 4 team deal. The Timberwolves got LaMelo Ball, of course, and then they also got Josh Green. The Charlotte Hornets received Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick, 3 first-round pick swaps, 2028, 2029, 2030, and 3 future second-round picks. This was huge for Minnesota to go into this direction, trading one of their big men, a really solid big man, for a guy that's a stud at point guard. Of course, there's a lot of other things in the trade as well. But we'll see what the Timberwolves kind of do. They still have Gobert. Do it. If they replace Naz Reid with another guy that's kind of like a 3-and-D guy, I could see them doing that. Because that's definitely a big piece they're going to miss. Instead of relying on 2 big men, they're going to rely on 2 guys in the backcourt to make plays and score the bucket. I think LaMelo, this opportunity he's got is incredible. He's going to be making the playoffs this year. It's going to be really fun to watch, a playoff run with him and Ant together. I really think that this is a better situation for LaMelo. He was, like the first option in Charlotte. And, he's a great player, but I feel like he's more of a pass-first guy. And I think he's going to benefit having Anthony Edwards next to him a lot. Passing the ball, I think he's going to become a better scorer with Anthony Edwards on his team. I think he's more of a second-option guy. And I think he's going to benefit so much from it. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's almost better to be the guy that's the second option at times. Because a lot of times the first option is double teamed, and you're going to get more looks, more opportunities. So shout out LaMelo Ball. I hope he kills it in Minnesota. Another trade that happened was Julius Randle, who was actually a Minnesota Timberwolf. The Timberwolves traded him to the Brooklyn Nets. So the Brooklyn Nets now got Julius Randle, and they got Michael Porter Jr. That's their dynamic duo. It was a 3-team trade. The Brooklyn Nets received Julius Randle and the number 28 overall pick. The Chicago Bulls received Nick Claxton, and the Timberwolves received the number 33 pick and a massive $33 million trade exception, which also gave runway to re-sign their guard Ao Dosunmu to a 5-year, $112 million extension. Huge for him, huge for the Timberwolves. The Nets, got Randall back in New York. He is a former Knick. They also moved up in the draft. I think it would be awesome if the Nets went after Jaylen Brown. I think it would be awesome, which I want to get into this actually. Jaylen Brown, there is a ton of chatter and buzz around his name about possibly being traded. I think if the Nets would be able to pull it off, get their guy, get a star, get Brooklyn back on the map, I think that would be awesome. If the Cavs pulled the plug, if they traded Evan Mobley for Jaylen Brown, I would 100% be for it. I love Evan Mobley, but you know what? I would take Jaylen Brown over him in a heartbeat. I'm not even kidding. Do I think Evan Mobley was huge for us in this playoff run, this most recent playoff run? Absolutely. Do I think we would have gotten that far without him? No, I do not. I think he's a great player. He was a Defensive Player of the Year last year. But I would 100%, if the trade was right, if the price was right, I would 100% pull the plug on a Jaylen Brown Evan Mobley trade. That is for sure. I want to look up top destinations for Jaylen Brown. The Portland Trailblazers. That would be interesting. Make a massive splash to pair a star with Damian Lillard. That sounds like a good deal. The Detroit Pistons. So I did hear about this. They have entered the mix a little bit. They could sign and trade Jalen Duren, which would just be crazy. I think it would be I think him and Cade would be great together. But if you do trade Duren, that definitely brings some question marks. They would have to sign another center. Because as bad as Jalen Duren was, he still is in the playoffs. He still is a great defender. And at times he is a great scorer down low. But really was struggling in the playoffs. I'm interested to see where Jaylen Brown goes. I am. If he does get traded. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know if he will. I know he's still got a pretty hefty contract, doesn't he? Didn't he just sign an extension after they won the finals? So he's got to have at least 3 years on his contract, I think. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, there's that. Isaiah Hartenstein also got extended to OKC. Austin Reeves got extended, by the way. That was another big thing in the NBA. Austin Reeves signed an extension with the Lakers. It was either 4 or 5 years. Now I forget. I know it was like $112 million. I want to say it was 4 years. And it was 4-year, $185 million maximum contract. So is that added with the money guaranteed? I don't know. But he's going to make $46.25 million per season. Wow. It officially becomes the largest contract ever signed by an undrafted player in NBA history. Wow. Shout out Austin Reeves. Shout out Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves is a great player. He is a great player. Another example of a guy that is a great second or third option with Luka and LeBron. He is so great. When they're all healthy, he is so great. And I'm not saying he's not a good player when he's the first option. We've seen him be the first option before. We saw him be the first option at the end of the Lakers season. Had his times. He was definitely, no. I guess he wasn't really the first option. I don't know who you would count as first option. I guess it would be LeBron. I don't know. Because Luka was hurt. But so was Reeves. But Reeves came back in the playoffs against OKC. Didn't play the best. I guess you really can't count that. guess you really can't count that. I don't know if you could really count that or not. But anyway, Austin Reeves, yeah. Shout out Austin Reeves, 4 years back in LA. Hope he does well. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. One of my favorite players to watch. Other than that, I think we're good for the NBA. I can't think of anything else that happened. Something big probably happened, but I probably can't think about it. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to, should we talk MLB first, or should we talk, we'll talk World Cup. We'll talk World Cup round of 32. We'll go over all the matchups. Can't wait for it. Let's do it. On the left side of the bracket, we got Germany versus Paraguay. We got France versus Sweden. France, who is right now, I think, the favorite to win the tournament. If it's not them, it's probably Argentina. South Africa versus Canada. The Netherlands versus Morocco. Portugal versus Croatia. Spain versus Austria. The United States versus Bosnia. Belgium versus Senegal. And on the right side of the bracket, we have Brazil versus Japan. Ivory Coast versus Norway. Mexico versus Ecuador. England versus the Democratic Republic of Congo. Argentina versus Cape Verde. Australia versus Egypt. Switzerland versus Algeria. And Colombia versus Ghana. That's the full round of 32 matchups. Let me know who you guys think is going to win the World Cup. I don't watch soccer, so I don't know who's going to win the World Cup. But hey, maybe I should check it out a little bit since this is finally the knockout stage. Should be really fun. Go USA. If it's not the USA winning, I am rooting for... who am I rooting for? Maybe Australia, because that's where Laserbeam lives. I know France is really good. I really like Mbappe, but who wants to see the best team win? I don't know who I want to win, honestly. I really don't care. I hope the USA wins, though. That's obviously who I hope wins. But other than that, I really don't care. It's USA or no one. It's USA against the world, baby. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the MLB. Carlos Mendoza was just fired, the manager for the New York Mets. I think it's about damn time he got fired. Something had to happen. I didn't hate Mendoza. I kind of hate when shit starts to hit the fan. This is really any sports team, but especially Mets fans, when shit starts to hit the fan, they just start blaming the manager. The manager can only do so much. I definitely think Mendoza had a little bit of a wacky time constructing lineups at times, but overall, I didn't really hate Mendoza. I thought he was good with the players. I thought he cared about the players. He always stuck up for the players. He was good in the media. I never really disliked Mendoza. I'll never forget the 2024 playoff run we had, his first year as a manager. And, obviously things didn't work out the way they should have. But, that's kind of how things work with the Mets a lot. So there's that. I'm not happy he got fired. I'm not sad he got fired. I just think it was maybe time to move on. And shout out Mendoza. I wish the best for him. I hope he gets a great opportunity somewhere. Because I do think he's a great manager. I think he has a great baseball mind. Seems like a great guy. So I hope he gets another opportunity somewhere else. And hey, if the Mets can, bring him back for maybe another job, I'd be all for it. Shout out Carlos Mendoza. But anyway, my Mets, who did win last night, by the way, they finally snapped a 7-game losing streak. Something that they did not need, as they're now 13 games under 500. They were 14 games under as of last night before we won. But hey, let's go over a quick, by the way, before we do, Jacob Mizorowski, who we literally talked about last episode. If it wasn't last episode, it was the episode before. He just broke his own record. He just threw a 105.5 mile per hour pitch against the Cubs. Literally just broke his own record. What a wild season he's having. He's 9-3 so far this year. He's got a 1.46 ERA, had 8 strikeouts, only gave up 4 walks, 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 6 innings pitched in his last outing against the Cubs. Man, is he looking good. Definitely a name to look out for the Cy Young. Let's go over some standings, shall we? Let's start in the American League East. The Tampa Bay Rays and New York Yankees deadlocked at first place, but the Rays have a 47-33 record. Yankees at 48-34. Rays have won 4 in a row. Yankees have lost 3 straight. Toronto in third at 39-44. They have lost 5 straight games, unfortunately. So they are now 5 games under 500. The Orioles 39-45. They are 5-5 in their last 10. They are 4th in the AL East right now. Lost yesterday. The Boston Red Sox 35-46 in 5th place in the American League East. 5 games back of the wild card. So the AL East not doing too bad. The Red Sox only 5 out of the wild card, being in last place in their division. That's not bad at all. Pretty good. Moving on to the AL Central, the Chicago White Sox 43-38 in first place. Cleveland in second at 43-40, only 1 game behind Chicago. Minnesota right behind them, half game behind Cleveland at 39-45. Wait a minute, that's not right at all. I'm sorry, they are 4.5 games back of Cleveland. They're a half game behind. No, I'm completely reading that wrong. I'm so sorry. Don't listen to anything I just said. Minnesota is in third at 39-45. They're 5.5 back of second place. Excuse me, they're 5.5 back of first place. They're 4.5 back of second place. They're 2.5 back of the wild card. They lost yesterday. Detroit in fourth at 35-48. They are 9 games back of first place. They are 6 games back of the wild card. Kansas City's 34-50. They're last place in the AL Central. They're 10.5 back of first place, and they're also 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 4 straight games. Not good. Not a good look for the Royals. Moving on to the AL West. This might be the most mid-division in baseball. Holy shit. Seattle, 42-42. They're in first place. The Texas Rangers, 41-42. They're in second. Only a half game back of first. Houston, 41-44. They're only 1.5 games back of first place. The A's, 40-43. They're also a game and a half back of first place. And in last place in that division, the Los Angeles Angels, 35-49. They're 7 games back of first place. Moving on to the National League, we have the Atlanta Braves, who have been struggling as of late. They're 3-7 in their last 10. The Philadelphia Phillies are in second at 46-37. Did I even say the Braves record? 49-32? Did I say that? The Phillies, 46-37. They are 4 games back. Wow, only 4 games back in first place. Look at the Phillies killing it. So are the Marlins. My goodness. Marlins 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They're 44-39. They're 6 games back of first place. Shout out Miami. They're also right now in the wild card. Washington in 4th place at 42-42. Man, they just can't get it out of that 500 spot. They are 2.5 back of the wild card. Then there's my Mets, 35-48, 15 games back of first place, 9 games back of the wild card. They've won 1 straight. And they're the only team in the National League East that have a negative run differential. Shout out New York. And moving on to the National League Central Division, we have in first the Milwaukee Brewers. We were just talking about Jacob Mizorowski, 50-30. They are 6-4 in their last 10. They lost yesterday. The Cubs are 45-38, 6.5 out of first place. They're 7-3 in their last 10 now, doing pretty good. St. Louis 42-38, 8 games back of first place, struggling as they've lost 4 straight games. The Pirates right behind them though at 41-42. They've lost 2 in a row, and the Cincinnati Reds at 39-42. Rounding out the MLB standings is the National League West, and featuring the best team in baseball as the Los Angeles Dodgers lead that division with a 53-30 record. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Behind them is the San Diego Padres, who are 43-38. They're 9 games back of the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks dead even at 41-41. The Giants at 34-48, and the Rockies in at 5th at 33-50. Interesting. I want to look at some stat leaders so far. Can I look? Let's see here. So Kyle Schwarber's leading the league in home runs. That's honestly not surprising at all. As he just seems like all he does is hit home runs. He hit like 3 of them against the Mets the other night, which really sucks. He is just playing really well. He's got a .253 batting average. Wow, Kyle Schwarber's average is above .250. That's surprising. Interesting. Yordan Alvarez, he's killing it. He's hitting .314. That's definitely an AL MVP candidate right there. He's hit 25 home runs, 56 RBIs. Looks like he's among the leaders in RBIs. Nick Kurtz, though, he's got 64 RBIs. Wow, Shea Langier. Wow. There are some names up here. This is when you know I haven't watched. Like Ben Rice right now has 22 home runs. He's got 53 RBIs for the Yankees. He's hitting .276. God, I got to watch baseball this season. Byron Buxton's killing it. 25 homers, only 43 RBIs, though. He's hitting .272. What other names stick out to me? Look at these White Sox. Murakami and Montgomery. Wow. Each have 20 home runs. Hunter Goodman for Colorado has 25 homers. Look at that. Pete Alonso. Interesting names up here. Judge only has 17 home runs. Did Judge get hurt? Did he get hurt this season? No, I don't know. Interesting. But anyway, I honestly don't know what else to talk about today, as I just exited out of my agenda for this podcast. So maybe I accidentally just exited out of this. So maybe that's a cue for me to end this. I guess so. Hey, folks, I really enjoy. Why was I going to say enjoy? I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to listen to this. It's kind of a sloppy episode, I know, but hopefully next time it will be better. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm looking forward to next week's episode or whenever that will be, next episode. Can't wait for it. But in the meantime, everybody, I hope you have an amazing rest of your Sunday. And please stay cool.